Hi, it's Seavey and Perry on Culture, Todd Seavey and Gerard Perry. And one big thing happening in culture right now is X-Men Days of Future Past coming out. I must say the final trailer looked like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And once again, a childhood dream comes true since I read the original story back in like 1979 or 1980 when it came out in the comics, a mere 2 issues that have loomed large over comic fans' brains for decades since. How about you? Thrilled?
Thrilled? Yeah, a little bit. I'm sorry, I can't feign enthusiasm for this. I really apologize, but yeah.
How about its transhumanist implications? Will we all become like the X-Men in the future?
Oh God, I hope not. But yeah, trans. That is an interesting question. I know so many people now believe that we're going to. The human race essentially is going to be superseded by some superior species, and I'm not.
Couldn't hurt.
I'm not averse to cyborg. I mean, already, I guess technically there are cyborgs that things like cochlear implants and technology that's been where people can actually have better vision. We're all becoming melded a little bit into cyberspace.
And Wolverine has those claws.
Yeah, but I'm kind of skeptical of the idea that we're going to evolve to the point where artificial intelligence will be able to dictate its own course rather than working with humans using it as a just more sophisticated tool to advance their own lives.
And actually, there was a crappy film recently that dealt with that question, I suppose, Transcendence, where Johnny Depp gets turned into a computer that tries to take over the world. The thing that scares me most about that movie is not the implications for AI. It's the fact that the guy who wrote it, Jack Paglin, is supposed to go on to write the Battlestar Galactica movie, which might be directed or produced by Bryan Singer, producer of X-Men Days of Future Past, director of X-Men Days of Future Past, and Paglin might also write another robotic film, Prometheus 2 with Michael Fassbender. But Transcendence was so lame that if this guy ends up being in charge of Battlestar Galactica and Prometheus, there are dark times ahead. There might also be dark times ahead for Bryan Singer legally, since he's being sued by someone who claims that he was badgered into underage sex by Bryan Singer at one of his big crazy sex parties in Hollywood that he apparently has with Roland Emmerich or others periodically.
According to him, it's an entire sex ring where they lure unsuspecting young men. I don't know how unsuspecting they are, but basically they lure young men into their grasp and take advantage of them. And the interesting thing is this came to light, I think, about a decade or so after it occurred, so there are people casting aspersions on his motivations, although there very may well be clandestine, kind of disgusting predatory sex ring in Hollywood. I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case. Yeah, TMZ has been on this issue. I guess they're the go-to source for this sort of salacious allegation. That and the Donald Sterling controversy, which they've been covering wall to wall for the past 2-3 days. As an aside, speaking of that, one thing, and this is a very superficial observation, but this man, who's apparently worth upwards of $1.5 billion.
Sterling?
Yeah,
the Clippers
the
owner
of the LA Clippers. They've shown him with his power war. This woman, I think her name is Viviano, and I'm not as unkind as some people who've cast doubt on her gender identity, but suffice it to say, she's not the type of chippy that quote unquote that you normally see with an 80 or 90-year-old man as grotesque and horrible as Donald Sterling is physically. I mean, he looks like a modeled version of the GOP donor Sheldon Anderson. So, but even so, someone who has $2 billion, you would assume would be able to get a slightly more attractive fake girlfriend. I'm just
Interesting. You'll get a taste of revisionist history, I suspect, in X-Men Days of Future Past, because my prediction, which could be wrong by the time you see this video, my prediction is that much like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, they're going to use X-Men Days of Future Past not just to prevent an apocalyptic future where the robotic Sentinels take over, but indeed to reboot the whole series and erase all of the Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart movies and just move forward from the 1970s and 1980s with the newer cast of Michael Fassbender people, mainly because the older actors' contracts are running out, but they've still got Michael Fassbender and company. So going forward, I think you will just see the characters from X-Men First Class, the one that takes place back in the 60s.
so the rest of it is just going down the memory hole.
I think the rest of it is just going to be kaput, like, old Star Trek. Or now, spin-off Star Wars material, which Disney has just officially declared is all non-canonical. Only the movies and the computer-animated TV series count going forward, which means, as far as I know, we no longer technically have the slightest idea what happened even 1 minute after the dancing, celebrating Ewoks at the end of Return of the Jedi. It's a whole new world. Anything could happen next year when we see the new Star Wars movie because the whole expanded universe is gone.
Possibilities are endless.
And we're excited about the future of X-Men as well, and our own futures, which you can observe in our next Seavey and Perry on Culture video, or at our respective websites, toddseavey.com and American Rattlesnake, or find us here at the Lock Yard, this bar in Brooklyn.
Should I be waving at the end too? Or?
I don't know.
If you want.
Okay.